This tutorial is intended to teach you how to use the concatenation function in Microsoft Excel. It is intended for archivists at LabKeeper, but should be useful for anyone who wants to add another trick to their Microsoft Excel toolbox. What is the concat or concatenate function, and what does it do? Concatenation allows you to combine multiple text strings into one. You can pull the strings from other cells in your worksheet or enter text within the expression itself. In versions of Microsoft Excel released before 2016, the function is called concatenate, but in versions released after 2016, like the one in Office 365, that's been shortened down to concat. Other than that change, though, the syntax remains the same, and it is as follows: equal sign, concat or concatenate, open parentheses, and the strings that you want to combine, each delimited by a comma followed by the closing parentheses. I will be using concat for the sake of this tutorial, but if you are using an older version of Excel, just replace that with the full word concatenate. To start off with, here's a simple example. Suppose you have two fields, first name and last name, and you'd like to combine them into a full name field. Anytime you want to include the contents of a cell into the concatenated string, you can just type the identifier of the cell. If you want to directly enter something into the formula, however, you'll need to enclose it with quotation marks. What you'd enter into the C2 cell here would be equal sign, concat, open parentheses, A2, comma, open quote, space, close quote, comma, B2, close parentheses. Don't forget that space. That space in the middle is needed to keep the name from all running together as one word. As you can see here in the first example, with the space, the name appears normally, Katie Smith. But without adding that space, it all runs together, Katie Smith. Being able to combine data pulled from elsewhere in the spreadsheet with data you enter directly gives the concatenate function some real versatility. And here's where it comes in handy for what we do here at LabKeeper. As you know, every sample location includes the room number, shelf number, and box number. Sometimes we need to refer to each one separately, but sometimes we need the whole thing. I've created a spreadsheet with some sample data here. How would we generate a full location identifier in the last column? We can start by doing what we did in the last example. But even though I've added spaces like we did before, the data doesn't make sense at a glance. 1-8A60. What does that even mean? Let's add some labels. We can do it in a couple of ways, either by using an absolute reference to the title field of the column, or by typing the name directly in the formula. I'll show you how to do both. In the first example, I've included absolute references to the label cells by using the $ before both the column letter and the row number, so that these will always refer to the same fields on my spreadsheet. Notice too how I have included blank spaces to make the resulting string more readable. The complete formula is a bit of a mouthful, but here it goes. Equal sign concat, open parentheses. $C, $1, comma, quotation mark space, quotation mark, comma, C2, comma, quotation mark space, quotation mark, comma, $D, $1, comma, quotation mark space, quotation mark, comma, D2, comma, quotation mark space, quotation mark, comma, $E, $1, comma, quotation mark space, quotation mark, comma, E2, close parentheses. Whew. In the second example, I've typed the labels room, shelf, and box right into the formula. The end result is the same, but notice again that I've included the spaces in the strings along with the words. In this example, the formula reads equal sign concat, open parentheses, quotation mark room, space, quotation mark, comma, C2, comma, quotation mark space, shelf, space, quotation mark, comma, D2, comma, quotation mark, space, box, space, quotation mark, comma, E2, close parentheses. Which method you use may depend on the situation. For instance, if you think you might someday want to change a label, box to container, for example, and don't want to have to retype it in the formula, using the direct reference might be a better choice. Finally, we can use the fill down function to apply the same formula to the following rows. That does the work for us of adjusting the formula for each row so we get the desired location for each item. Whether you've used an absolute identifier or manually typed the text into the formula, the result is the same. This concludes my tutorial on using the concatenation function in Microsoft Excel. In summary, you can use concat to combine up to 255 strings. Type the cell identifier to pull existing data from a cell, and use quotation marks to manually add text to the function, whether to add information or just make it clearer with spaces or punctuation. Each element is delimited with a comma. Finally, you can use fill down to easily apply your formula to each line in a table. Just make sure to watch your relative and absolute references as you would with any Excel formula. Thanks for taking the time to watch this tutorial. I hope you found it useful.